Hey everyone, welcome to our breakout session on agentic commerce. We have a pretty packed agenda here, so I'm just going to get into it. So my name is Jesse, and I'm thrilled to kick things off with you. The real stars of the show are to my left over here. So we're going to be joined by Kieran and Mike, who represent both the kind of commerce side as well as the payment side of the house. You'll be hearing a lot from them. I'm just kind of the context setter. I'm going to tell you about our toolkits and what we have here at Google Cloud. But let's get going. So a little bit about me. I'm an AI incubation lead here at Google Cloud. I focus on pre-GA capabilities that are launched at Cloud AI. So I run pilots with customers to kind of explore new products. And I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about a topic that I'm quite passionate about. So quick agenda. So first we're going to talk about the immense opportunity that retailers and payment providers that is being unlocked with agents. And then we're going to delve into the building blocks that power agentic commerce here at Google Cloud. Next up, we're going to hear from Wayfair about how they've successfully onboarded 30 million products across various agentic services. And then we'll hear from Fiserv, a leading payments and fintech platform, on how they're seizing the opportunity on payments. So I'll start with a quick story. So when we had our kid 2 years ago, I was pretty overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of stuff that we needed. So a quick trip to go see the grandparents meant packing pack and play, stroller, various creams, diaper bags. And you add in 2 adults and a 75-pound golden retriever, our car was bursting at the seams. So a friend said, why don't you get one of those cargo boxes you can put on top of your car? You can load all your luggage and stuff in there. And I thought, great idea. But then I was just overwhelmed by the amount of different products out there. I had to have something that fit my car, fit my sanity, my budget. It had to be safe enough that it wouldn't fly off the roof during a trip on the freeway. And it had to be pretty aerodynamic. And there were a million products, and I was just drowning in browser tabs, product reviews, and I couldn't really optimize this equation. So I finally just dumped in Gemini all my constraints and my budget and everything. And within seconds, it spit out the perfect recommendation for me. So now I was able to basically travel down to see the grandparents. We're all comfy, and my golden retriever doesn't have to wear a diaper bag as a hat anymore. So the lesson, LLMs can help us sift through large amounts of data, as well as constraints and preferences, and they can help us organize information from many different places and ultimately help drive a buying decision. And it turns out I'm not the only one. So according to some recent research, there's been a 10x increase in brand discovery through LLMs in 2025 alone. And 30% of shoppers are actually initiating that product discovery through AI. And they expect it to kind of grow in the future. And all in all, consumers are already augmenting traditional search and kind of browsing with AI to surface hyper-relevant recommendations. A couple more stats. Another study said that 40% of all AI-driven e-commerce sessions land directly on product detail pages. And this indicates that AI is actually helping develop a fully formed purchase intent. And why is that? I think my cargo box story explains it all. We can collapse things like search bars, filters, browser tabs, product specs, product reviews, and many other things into a highly adaptive conversational thread. So it compresses the funnel and can filter out complex buying constraints in a single step. So let's talk about the opportunity. Shoppers are already using AI to discover products today, and that's whether you like it or not. So here at Google, we think, why not meet them where they are, remove some of that friction, and unlock a new buying channel? So with opportunity, though, comes some responsibility. And brands must meet the moment and optimize their catalog so that AI agents can safely discover and transact on them. And the payment processors who invest in secure tokenized checkout infrastructure are going to win the game in this AI agent world. And here at Google, we think we're building the right products and protocols to support that. And by the way, much of that is completely open source, ensuring that the digital infrastructure remains transparent, interoperable, and accessible to developers worldwide. So I'm going to hop into our toolkit, and I'm just going to talk through some of our products today. You'll get a lot more context around how they're being applied by my guests over here. But I'm going to start off with something a little bit more managed. So as you may have heard this morning, we recently launched Gemini Enterprise for Customer Experience. If you're in the know, you call it GECX. And it's a unified set of solutions that allows companies to provide signature AI experiences to their customers on their own properties. And we can use the power of Gemini and Google to do all sorts of things like product discovery, commerce, even customer support. All this is rooted in your own brand identity and your customer relationships and your full ecosystem. So I'll focus today on the shopping agent, which offers like a really streamlined way to deploy super sophisticated shopping assistants on your own property. So today, the shopping agent, it's in preview. We're piloting it with a few customers. And it streamlines that entire purchasing journey from discovery to checkout. And it can leverage multimodal inputs and complex reasoning and basically translate a lot of open-ended queries and suggest like holistic solutions for that. So something like, how do I outfit an entire graduation party? Rather than searching for those items one by one and browsing, and it'll deliver real-time product suggestions and take consented actions to complete purchases and remove a lot of the friction that you see at checkout on traditional e-commerce websites. And at its core, the shopping agent provides convenience. It can curate personalized choices. It can suggest alternatives to out-of-stock items. And it can even move items into carts and checkout with the customer's consent. So lastly, it can really help you tackle these complex goals. Maybe you have a really kind of abstract question like the perfect outfit for a special occasion. And it can really anticipate unstated needs and guide a user through a complex purchasing project. So that was a quick run through. I'm trying to talk fast because I want to get to the real stars of the show here. But while the shopping agent provides this powerful Google managed solution that really curates this delightful experience on your own property, our open protocols, which I'll talk about today, which are UCP and AP2, empower you to facilitate that agentic commerce using your own existing tools if you're building high code agents, and also on a variety of different surfaces as well. So we believe that by leveraging these transparent vendor agnostic standards, you can actually build a seamless shopping ecosystem and with complete flexibility and absolutely no vendor lock-in whatsoever. You can build this on whatever you want. So let's take a look at the ecosystem today. So I think there's two major problems. So before kind of a common language for agents to interact with backends, you had to build a lot of bespoke integrations. So this could be on the retailer side, it could also be on the payment side. Every time of integration required kind of a custom set of API integrations that weren't necessarily extensible to the next. And this is something we want to solve. How do we standardize a schema so that an LLM or even an API can actually understand that language and have a common schema that moves us towards more of like a streamlined communication paradigm? On the other side, if we wanted to build something, it has to be flexible. It can't be a one-size-fits-all kind of monolith. And we want to be able to support a variety of different protocols that are already being used in the industry today. So we don't want to replace things like MCP or A2A. We want to complement them and integrate them into the framework. So this is where we built UCP. Maybe you'd like to embed your shopping experience across a broad range of AI services. And UCP, or the Universal Commerce Protocol, is kind of a single standard for AI commerce. And it covers everything from discovery to post-purchase. And Google built this with leaders, some of our industry leaders, and some of those people are in the room today. So it's something that we didn't build in isolation with our own ideas. And what it does is it creates a common language for AI agents that solve fragmented online shopping. It supports the entire user journey from real-time product discovery to cart management and order tracking. And it ensures that the retailers actually remain the seller of record, capturing sales exactly when customers are ready to buy across a variety of AI surfaces. That could be Gemini, could be AI mode and search, and basically anywhere you want to embed these agentic experiences. So it achieves this through core building blocks that require minimal custom code to implement, and it has basic integrations like native or embedded checkout. It has secure identity linking, full order management, and interoperability with existing digital wallets and payments. So let's zoom out a little bit. Like, what is it right here? So UCP sits between those consumer surfaces and your business backends. And this consumer surface could be a merchant property. It could be AI mode and search. It could be Gemini app, or theoretically any surface where your customers are interacting with you. And it defines the interactions between 4 distinct actors. So first up, we have the platform, which could be the agent or the application. The second is the merchant of record. Third is the credential provider, which is responsible for things like customer identity, issuing payment tokens. And last is a payment service provider. And if we look at this stack right here, it's basically composed of 4 different layers. And at the top, we have our services layer. And UCP has a name, commerce, in its name. So it starts with shopping, but it's extensible and it's designed to be vertically expansible so that you can onboard different types of verticals using that same kind of concept that UCP is. So in the future, it could be extended to things like groceries or travel, and basically the service layer defines that. We also have a thing called a common layer, which is in that common box, and that's something that could be used across services or across verticals, like identity linking is a good example of that. Then we have our capabilities. So we launched catalog, cart, checkout, order, identity linking, and we're going to be onboarding more in the future. And these are the core business operations for that domain. And again, new capabilities can be added to facilitate other vertical-based kind of interactions. And then third, we have our extensions, and these are specific pieces of functionality that decorate those capabilities. And these are things like discounts and fulfillment. And by having these be decorators as opposed to their own capabilities, they can be kind of injected in the right point in the transaction flow. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, we have our transport layer. And so these 3 semantic business layers at top are all furnished through transports. So these business constructs can be manifested as JSON that communicate over REST APIs. They can be manifested as MCP or A2A. And then we also have the ability to embed the protocol into an iframe. And this is really good for when you want a human in the loop actually clicking a button, maybe a buy button, and you don't want to have that be done by an agent directly. So before I close out on UCP, an important distinction here. So we have UCP, it's fully open source. Go on ucp.dev, you can go on our GitHub, you can create issues and pull requests. And this is open to any business that wants to federate commerce to any surface or any agent anywhere. But we've also, with a small pilot group of customers, launched our kind of own opinionated implementation of UCP. And this allows you to do UCP commerce over things like Gemini and AI mode and search. So there's a lot of demand for this, and we're looking to onboard more customers. I don't have timing, unfortunately, but yeah. So what about payments? So when we think about payments, there's a lot of risks involved, right? There can be bad actors and fraudsters. There could be risks around chargebacks, or frankly, like we just might be worried that agents are going to hallucinate a price or a customer intent. And how do we secure against that? So I'm old enough to remember when you actually were kind of scared to buy things on the internet. It took a lot of risk to enter your credit card into a box on the internet. But we all do that now. So the payment industry really rallied to build the infrastructure of trust that made e-commerce possible. And what we're doing today with AP2, or Agent Payments Protocol, is to basically build that trust through this agentic interface. And we do that through these tamper-proof mandates. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. So agents break that fundamental thing that we're used to, which is where a human is actually clicking the buy button. And AP2 is working to fill that gap. It provides authorization, proving that a user gave an agent the authority to buy something. It provides authenticity, which ensures that merchants know that the agent's request actually reflects the user's. And it provides accountability so that we know who's at fault when there's a fraud or a dispute over a transaction. And this is all achieved through these cryptographically signed mandates. So for real-time transactions, a user interacts with an agent. That interaction is captured in a signed mandate that creates this irrevocable or unchangeable record. And the mandate is a plain English description of the agreement between the agent and the user. And it's completely tamper-proof. It can't be modified after the fact. And very soon, we'll be able to power kind of like human not present tasks. So these are things where you say I want to buy a pair of shoes if and only if the price drops below a certain level. That mandate gets made up front with the price limits and the rules. And then the agent can generate that final mandate once those conditions are met. So in the future, I see a lot of cool applications of AP2. It can be used to facilitate complex tasks like get in line for me as soon as these Taylor Swift tickets go on sale, buy me groceries based off of my recent purchase habits, and do it every week. And this is where I see a ton of value in AP2, and it really opens up some kind of workflows that we haven't really thought of before in the past. So wrapping up, if you're in the room today, you should embrace the challenge, embrace the consumer trends, and start figuring out your strategy for how you're going to be enabling agentic commerce. I think for retailers, you'll hear from here in a second. If you haven't already, start preparing your catalog to be discoverable by agents. I think that's like the first thing you can do. Integrating to the Merchant Center. We're going to be adding conversational attributes for better AI discovery. And then for payment processors, embrace the open standards. This will help you basically integrate with a wide range of retailers, a wide range of surfaces, and help you facilitate ultimately non-standard checkout flows that I think will be the future of AI commerce here. All right, well, thanks very much. I'm going to hand it off to Hiran from Wayfair.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jesse, for a great context setting on all the protocols. I'm Hiran Patel, super excited to be here. I'm an engineering lead at Wayfair. I lead purchase and enterprise platform, and super excited to share you the collaboration journey that we had with Google and a lot of other partners in building the Universal Commerce Protocol. From a focus standpoint, I'll focus on some of the key decision points that we went through, and also a lot of the learnings that I think a lot of you folks are here in the room might appreciate. I'll start with, again, a lot of the data points that Jesse shared, which is clear that there's a fundamental shift happening in commerce. And the mental model that I have resonated and we have learned through this experience is that for decades, we retailers have been trying to perfect this journey of a consumer from search to transaction through clicks and through views. And that model is about to break. Today, customers are already sort of like thinking about engaging in becoming conversational. Customers who are adopting AI, they're no longer clicking workflows or navigating through browse, category, search. They are engaging and they are expressing intent. They are asking what they want, and they're no longer clicking the buttons. Tomorrow, in the world of agents, this interaction goes even further, where agents are not only going to help customers sort of find products or compare products, but they're going to perform transactions on their behalf. This fundamental shift from clicks to conversation to autonomous action is where I think everybody should be paying attention to, because this is where I think things are going to shift. And we are so glad to be working and partnering with Google and many other partners to co-develop this sort of fundamental protocol that's shaping up how commerce is going to be in future. Let's talk a little bit more about data. Jesse shared a lot of broad data. I want to share the data that we see on our agentic platform. Over the last 2 quarters, a lot of this agentic traffic has really grown quarter over quarter, almost doubled it up from referrals that we are seeing coming from this agentic platform. Traffic that lands on Wayfair.com from the agentic channel seems to be higher intent. Customers are expressing a lot of that purchase intent. And we see actually a positive conversion delta between what we see in our B2C channel versus the agentic channel. Also, the most sort of like important part that we are seeing is this is still like very early days. It's single-digit transactions. The traffic is still in less than 2 digits, and hence we think that there is a massive headroom here. And we are super excited to really get these agents learn about our catalog, our depth of understanding of our catalog, and hence I think we think there is a big upside here. With all of this sort of like grounding ourselves in data and the promise of agentic commerce, we in Wayfair feel that our goal is very clear. We want Wayfair to become sort of the really trusted first-party truth of all things home for all of agentic surfaces, not just Google. What this means is we really need to focus on 3 things, and we have a 3-pronged strategy here. We want to become the trusted home source. And the way we think of doing that is really focusing on our catalog data, making our catalog data really reliable, structured, that the agents can understand. And hence, when they can understand, they can navigate it better, and they can really help the customers make purchase decisions. Secondly, we want our catalog to be instantly shoppable. What that means? It means that our commerce stack has to have these APIs that are well organized, well governed, that can easily integrate into protocols like UCP. And lastly, we will deliver the promise. we want to be the source of truth on maintaining that end-to-end relationship with the customer, which is really critical in maintaining trust in this agentic world. All of this, you cannot do it on your own. You need to be in an ecosystem that is really powerful. And we are so glad that we are co-building this sort of fundamental protocol with Google. Our collaboration with Google and many other partners to build UCP, or Universal Commerce Protocol, is very foundational. What's been really important that we have seen is the depth of collaboration. We are not just partnering with Google so that our products show up on Google surfaces. We are co-defining a lot of the patterns and the guardrails that are super critical for the retail industry as a whole. We are ensuring that product accuracy, transaction integrity, and trust are maintained. And what's really important that throughout this journey, it has allowed Wayfair to focus on enabling, designing, and launching an infrastructure layer and an API layer that integrates not only with Google, but many other agentic platforms. We have a demo upcoming, but I wanted to show you how the whole journey is really changing with agentic commerce. It's a much more simplified view than the traditional sort of 7 to 8 steps journey that you see on most commerce platforms right now. It is becoming much more simpler. Customers are no longer going through multiple loops and bouncing between browse, category, search, product views. They're really simplifying into expressing intent, finding the product that they want, and going ahead with their purchase. And since UCP is a shared language, it ensures that when an AI agent is finding that lamp for you, it is actually looking into the product catalog that you already provided through Merchant Center or Merchant APIs to Google. UCP experience also makes sure that not only this experience is frictionless, it is not faceless. Wayfair continues to be the seller of record. It ensures that when the customer clicks on buy from Google screen, it is a Wayfair transaction. And we keep the relationship with the customer, with our teams, from our warehouses to the service desk. Okay, I promised a bunch of key decisions, and catalog readiness or catalog was a key decision for us. On this one, we did not try to overthink on what type of products the customers will be comfortable handing it off to the agents to buy. We actually focused really on filtering a very narrow set of products that we thought that agents will have trouble with. Things like items that are only available in certain states or items that are having special restrictions. We focused on just filtering those items, and we enabled our entire 30 million product catalog for agentic integrations. We wanted to expose this entire catalog primarily for 2 reasons. It's a new channel, it's a new interface. We wanted to learn how customers will actually shop through our breadth of the catalog. What are the learnings it will provide to us as they engage with that? And if you are already part of Google's enterprise, you're integrated with Merchant API, onboarding was very easy. Okay, I'm going to show a demo that should talk. Oop. There you go. As you can see, the experience is really intuitive. It's fast. It's engaging. It allows the customers to really get narrower to that purchase intent. And if it's all integrated, it's a click of a button where they get the consent and place the order. Great. Another decision point that we ran into, and a lot of you we are thinking about an agentic commerce, you will run into, is what should be your agentic architecture? And the core principle we try to follow is agents don't want to get redirected to your websites. They want to perform that transaction directly where they are. And the obvious trap that we could have got into is try to build sort of bespoke checkout layers that work for different agentic platforms. And while that could have worked, we quickly realized that it could actually get really messy very fast, hard to scale, hard to manage. And over time, it could drift away from what an Wayfair internal B2C architecture looks like. So we made a different decision. Instead of creating something new, we had an existing partner API ecosystem, but a partner API architecture that already was enabled for marketplaces, for other partners. So we thought about treating Agent as yet another partner. This helped a lot. At a high level, this architecture is very simple. On the left, you see agents, you see partners. In the middle, you have the partner API architecture layer. And on the right, you have all the core APIs that Wayfair already has for its B2B and B2C channels. The middle layer essentially has two key concepts. One is a core access layer that allows you to give authentication, identification to plug into your core layer. And the second layer is a protocol translation layer that allows you to take requirements from UCP and translate it for your own internal systems and internal integrations. This gave us a lot of speed. We were able to launch this in less than a quarter. We were able to apply a lot of this to scale to other partners. We are integrated with Perplexity and the next AI platform to come. And third is, it allows us to maintain safety and security. We control still fraud, payment, fulfillment, and all of those integrations so that the trust is maintained with the customer. Fast forward a couple of months, we have launched in Q1. We have some great learnings that I wanted to share. Two key learnings from a customer behavior standpoint. I think really, as I said, the purchase intent is really stronger. Customers are coming up with a very strong intent. So when they land on the product view, they're really clear on what they want. And hence, not only conversion is increasing, but also they are ready to walk away. So the bounce rates are higher. So you see two sides of those two dimensions of any sort of commerce API. Your bounce rates are higher, your conversions is higher. What that tells you is you really need to focus on your catalog. You need to understand how the agents are able to read your catalog, both from a breadth and a depth standpoint. Pricing, imagery, availability, fulfillment. A lot of the core things really need to be in a shape where your agents can parse them so that it can match the intent of a customer back to your catalog. Secondly, these agentic experiences and LLM-powered experiences are really great. They're very powerful. They are able to understand the breadth and depth of your catalog, and they are able to narrow the intent of the customer very clearly, very fast. And hence, what we are able to sort of like offer back from an experience standpoint is also great. Bottom line is the customers' behaviors are changing. You as retailers really need to think about how fast your strategy is going to change to match the speed of what the customers are learning about discovery, about integration, and also about engagement. And hence, I think just keeping pace to it, not thinking too much, really trying to adopt is the message that I want to give. Lastly, as we say in Wayfair terms, we are never done. On the left, you see a bunch of things that we launched in early Q1. About 30 million Wayfair products are discoverable and purchasable on Gemini and AI mode. Great learnings on purchase intent, traffic growth, and consistent order growth. In upcoming quarters, we are actively working with Google on three main focus areas. First is sort of like really evolving our UCP integrations so that we can focus on basket building. Right now, we have simple purchases. We want to enable multi-item carts and so forth. Promotions are key to commerce, and hence, I think really enabling promotions will go a longer way. And then we want to keep on working on catalog understanding so that we can keep on enabling newer and newer workflows to increase the catalog depth. With that, I want to say lots of thank you to Google team who worked on UCP, and a great shout out to Wayfair on the customer technology team. Some of the folks are here in the room that has helped us enable this, and our supply chain team who extended the partner API integration layer. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Michael.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just check. Okay, so Mike Edwards. I have product strategy responsibilities in the merchant solutions business at Fiserv. Let's just check we have slides moving. We do just 30 seconds on Fiserv for those of you that may not know what we do. We're a global financial technology company. We sit at the intersection of banking and of the merchant business of commerce. We support thousands of the world's largest financial institutions and millions of merchants all around the world, all the way from small business owners through our Clover point of sale system and commerce platform, all the way up to the largest brands in the world, including some of the largest retailers, quick service restaurants, digital brands, grocers, and more. So, okay, let's lean a little bit into Agentic. McKinsey frames agentic commerce as a seismic shift as agents start to autonomously navigate the shopping experience. And they think this could be a $1 trillion industry by 2030 as we think about US retail. There's some other estimations on the screen as well that don't hit $1 trillion, but the potential is clearly huge. And I'm going to spend a bit of time today looking at what are some of the enablers to get to that scale from the lens of a payments company, payments and trust. And as we go through, we'll look at some of the issues that we face in reaching that scale as well. Another way to look at this, I think, actually it's probably quite easy for us to enable an agent to go make a payment. I think where there are concerns from merchants across the ecosystem is, can we do that? Can we enable that payment to take place in a way that preserves the authorization integrity, that doesn't introduce new fraud that's uncapped? And perhaps equally as importantly, doesn't change our margins, the way we operate, doesn't change significantly any of the payment economics. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the agentic landscape. I actually think about this landscape, and you could group these boxes a little bit by these 3 layers. The first layer is an intelligence layer. So think about the product catalog, think about intent, discovery, agents and protocols. Then I would say we also have the experience layer. So this is the place at which consumers are going to enter the ecosystem, the agentic surfaces. And then finally, as we move to the right side of the screen, we'd look at the transaction layer. And this is payment processing, but it's also post-purchase order management. I think Jesse and Hiren spoke a little bit about what I would consider to be the intelligence layer and the experience layer, so I'm going to focus on the transaction layer, where success, I think, requires 3 things. It requires trust, it requires security, and it requires transparency. And I think we can dig into these items with a number of key principles. The first of which is we have to have the identity and permission has got to be rock solid. If we're going to allow an agent to act, we have to understand who that agent is acting for and what rights and limits have been given to that agent. And so tokenization, delegated permission, strong authentication become really important. Clearly, we can't give agents the free rein. They have to act with a bounded authority, and that authority should be managed by the consumer, by the customer. Every agentic action should have an audit trail, should be auditable. If an agent makes a purchase, merchants, customers, the networks need to understand why that purchase was made. And need to understand why that purchase was made. And so things like having clear logs, having intent signals, and understanding the transaction context become really important. The transaction context helps when you get into the post-order phase when you look at chargebacks and disputes, even as you feed into your loyalty program, that's important so that those items are not just, they don't become guesswork. And transparency across the ecosystem, as far as that audit trail is concerned, is important. Fraud controls need to evolve from protecting data to protecting decisions. In the agentic landscape, it's not just okay, it's not enough anymore just to protect an unauthorized card use. We now have to protect unauthorized autonomous decisions from being made. And so agents that are verified, agents that are trusted, where the customer has defined what those agents can and can't do, becomes critical. And equally, merchants need instantly to understand if that agent is verified or if, in fact, they're under some form of automated attack. And then finally, I would say standards matter in our ecosystem. I think collaboration matters even more. You have the networks that are building trust frameworks. You have the platforms that are building protocols. You have merchants that are working across the ecosystem. And our role at Fiserv, certainly, we see our role at helping to bring that ecosystem together so that trust can be applied consistently across the entire ecosystem everywhere and not just in pockets. And so a bit more about at Fiserv. We kind of view Agentic to be successful where an agent can act, transact securely, and a merchant can understand who acted, why they acted, and with what authorization they acted. And there are a number of challenges as we see them. Jesse touched on this in his presentation. The first challenge is actually the ecosystem itself. It's fragmented. We have multiple protocols. We have multiple standards. Those standards are evolving quickly. I think it is a valid concern for merchants to understand if they are expected to integrate to each and every platform, to each and every standard, and if they're expected to manage and maintain those connections and those standards as they evolve. Finding a partner to help simplify and remove that complexity is extremely important. The second challenge is actually omnichannel itself. How do we create consistent experiences for our customers as they move across channels? We're used to thinking about this in the payment world from an in-store to mobile to e-com. And as we introduce Agentic as effectively a new channel, we should take the same approach and apply the same approach. If we can keep our existing tech stack and use it across all those channels, we can deliver the same consistent payment types, we can remember the client through loyalty programs, and we can retain that connection to the clients, and we can do it at minimal cost. I think keeping the consistent tech stack, keeping customers happy with consistent experiences, you also keep your CTO and your CFO happy as well, and you retain the investments that you have made. You leverage the investments that you've made in your existing tech stack, things like optimization programs and such forth. And then finally, trust and risk. So as I said before, you're not just protecting payment data, you're protecting decisions. Being focused on identity and trust is super important. A little more granular detail. This is what an enablement layer can look like that brings together all of the ecosystem partners into one place. And so for the merchant, the outcome is that they get to integrate once. They can stay ahead of the evolving standards that can be managed at the center, and they get to preserve payment integrity end to end. It is actually worth saying, as we look at this, Google has some real strengths to bring into this ecosystem. If you think about the Merchant Center as an on-ramp, many of your organizations will already be using Merchant Center today. You'll already have product catalogs loaded. They can be leveraged and extended into the agentic ecosystem without having to recreate them. UCP, Jesse Hidden talked to open standards. It's going to allow you to bring more of the things that you know about your customer, loyalty and tender types, into the ecosystem as well. At Fiserv, we think about preparation is about being transaction ready. And so just a few areas to finish with, areas to focus on as you're thinking about embarking on your agentic journey. The first is data, and both my colleagues talked about clean data from a product catalog point of view. Absolutely the same applies from a payment lens as well. Having clean feeds, clear pricing, mapping your customers to their preferred loyalty and tender types will allow agents to transact reliably and consistently. And as I think about tender types and I think about loyalty, make sure you bring these, number two, make sure you bring these into the agentic ecosystem. Agents are going to change the relationships that you have with your customers. You're going to have shopping journeys that start on third-party sites rather than your website, which means you're going to lose some visibility into that customer. It's really important that you bring into the ecosystem the things that make your customer, understanding who they are from a loyalty standpoint, understanding who they are and how they prefer to pay, are ways that you can continue to keep the connection with your customer. And so you can prepare now by starting to map, have an understanding of my customers' preferred payment types, stored cards, all of those things, to be ready to bring that into the ecosystem. And then connectivity. Make sure you find a partner that will help you come into this ecosystem and access multiple agentic layers, agentic surfaces, and remove some of that complexity into your business and hopefully allow you to retain and make use of your existing technology and the investments that you've made in your tech stack. And then finally, I would say testing. Merchants that can test now, that can experiment now in its nascent form, will learn what works for them, what breaks for them, and as adoption continues to drive and grow, we'll be in a better place to understand how to drive revenue for their organization. So pick a test group, target a test group as you can. It could be a subsegment of your loyalty base and begin some testing and some experiments, learn. And I'm going to wrap there and just say that at Fiserv, we're focused on continuing to enable merchant discoverability in the agentic world and making sure that you are transaction ready whenever an agent turns up. So thank you.